Freedom Fighter Radio coming to you live from the heart of the Great White North, the heart of the true North, strong and free. Just before the break, we were talking about how the developers of AI, some of them are coming forward and saying that there's a certain black box in the codes that they don't know. Either it's hidden away from the developers, they don't know what happens in that black box, and some of it were developed by the AI itself. They are being guided by the AI how to develop, what kind of technology and what kind of direction they should pursue to give AI more human-like, sentient-like feel.
But what I find most interesting about AI, no one ever talks about. It's that we have no idea why they work as well as they do. About what's sometimes called the black box problem, which is that no one really knows why an AI comes to this or that conclusion. You feed it data, ask it a question, and it gives an answer, but it can't explain why that answer makes sense, and sometimes not. It's like a teenager, but without the eye rolling.
And part of that trust, I think, always comes when you understand how it works. And one of the problems AI researchers have, AI engineers have, is figuring out why it does what it does, how the neural network operates, what weights it assigns to various things. Do you think that we will get there, or is it getting so inherently complicated that we are at some level just going to have to trust the black box?
So on the first part of your question, I think humans are pretty forgiving of other humans making mistakes, but not really at all forgiving of computers making mistakes. I also think that what it means to verify or understand what's going on is going to be a little bit different than people think right now. I actually can't look in your brain and look at the 100 trillion synapses and try to understand what's happening in each one and say, okay, I really understand why he's thinking what he's thinking. You're not a black box to me. But what I can ask you to do is explain to me your reasoning. I can say, you think this thing, why? And you can explain first this, then there's this conclusion, then that one, and then there's this. And I can decide if that sounds reasonable to me or not. I think our AI systems will also be able to do the same thing. They'll be able to explain to us in natural language the steps from A to B. We can decide whether we think those are good steps.
This is even more advanced than some of the depiction of some science fiction, Star Trek and Star Wars type genre TV series and movies. When they were discussing this concept, how to give, I remember the doctor in Star Trek, the holographic doctor needs to activate, sometimes needs to deactivate the humor plug-ins, The male doctor in one of the Star Trek, I think Voyager, sometimes he becomes too animated that the captain would tell the doctor, the holographic doctor AI, turn off your emotion plug-in.
I want to get back to our exclusive interview with Geoffrey Hinton. The leading AI researcher has dedicated his career to better understanding the future of intelligence, and increasingly, Hinton is urging lawmakers to insist big tech companies spend more on AI safety. His conviction is tied to the speed at which AI is getting smarter and the potential risks associated with that. In this next part of our conversation, we started by asking Hinton about the chances of AI becoming smarter than humans.
Almost every decent researcher I know believes that in the long run it'll get more intelligent than us. It's not going to stop at our intelligence. A few people believe that, but because it's training on data from us at present. But most of the researchers I know are fairly confident it will get more intelligent than us. So the real question is, how long will that take? And when it does, will we still be able to keep control?
What do you think the chances are of AI just wiping out humanity?
It's not inconceivable.
Okay.
That's all I'll say. Until quite recently, I thought it was going to be like 20 to 50 years before we have general purpose AI. Now I think it may be 20 years or less.
Some people think it could be like 5.
I wouldn't completely rule that possibility out now, whereas a few years ago I would have said no way.
Are we close to the computers coming up with their own ideas for improving themselves?
Yes, we might be.
And then it could just go fast.
That's an issue, right? We have to think hard about how to control that.
Yeah. Can we?
We don't know. We haven't been there yet, but we can try.
Okay, that seems kind of concerning.
Yes.
We are facing a global emergency. The excessive use of black box artificial intelligence. Most of the AI today is based on deep neural networks, okay? These algorithms often have thousands of parameters, which makes them very high performing, yes, but extremely complex to understand. In other words, we don't know what is going on inside a trained neural network. I have been working on this problem for several years now, and I believe this is the biggest challenge we have in AI today.
And then you just give the computer some definition of good, and it keeps optimizing these knobs until it performs as good as possible. And often you go like, wow, that's really good. This robot can dance. Or this machine is beating me at chess now. And in the end, you have something which, even though you can look inside it, you have very little idea of how it works. You can print out tables of all the millions of parameters in there. Is it crystal clear now how it's working? And no, of course not, right? So many of my colleagues seem willing to settle for that. And I'm like, no, that's like the halfway point.
One way I like to think about this is like you open up the box and it's just full of thousands of green lights that are just like flashing like crazy. And it's like something's happening for sure. And like different inputs, different lights flash, but we don't know what any of those patterns mean.
Is it crazy that despite that state of affairs that these large language models can still do so much? Like it seems crazy that we wound up in a world where we have these tools that are super useful, and yet when you open them up, all you see is green lights. Like, can you just say briefly why that is the case?
It's kind of the same way that like animals and plants work, and we don't understand how they work, right? These models are grown more than they are programmed. So you kind of take the data and that forms like the soil, and you construct an architecture and it's like a trellis, and you shine the light, and like that's the training, and then the model sort of grows up here, and at the end it's beautiful. It's all these little like curls and it's holding on, but like you didn't like tell it what to do.
But that was just a concept a few years back in science fiction movies. Now we have actual AI that is far superior, even more superior than the concept that they have depicted in some of these science fiction movies. As you can see in some of the demonstration we showed earlier, it can pause. It has different kinds of laughter, like a big laugh or a tiny laugh, or and it can even suggest look at a live video or live feed and interpret what's going on in the live feed and give a very human-like response and suggestions. Just like in one of the demonstration, the guy that was interacting with AI, he put on a kind of a beach hat, and she was like, she was laughing or chuckling a little bit, and she said, you might get a lot of attention, but not in the way you want, right? And that's a human nuance that is, yes, parts of it are string of codes that super fast computer will choose which is the appropriate string of instruction, set of responses, right? In the old days, the chatbots, these are pre-made responses according to keywords that you say or you type to a chatbot. It picks up keyword, and based on the keyword that you input, it will select the most appropriate pre-selected response to your inquiry. Those are the early days of so-called artificial intelligence or chatbots. In many ways, it's still like that. The modern day AI in many ways are still like that, except they have thousands, if not millions, of preset responses, and these preset responses were not all put in by the developers. Many of them were created by the AI itself. The AI itself created all of these pre-made or pre-composed responses, and in a matter of milliseconds, it will choose from hundreds of thousands of choices how to respond. In a millisecond, it will choose the most appropriate response.
There is an aspect of this which we call, all of us in the field call it as a black box. You don't fully understand, and you can't quite tell why it said this or why it got wrong. We have some ideas, and our ability to understand this gets better over time, but that's where the state of the art is.
You don't fully understand how it works, and yet you've turned it loose on society?
I've said this before, AI is one of the most profound things we are working on humanity. As humanity, it's more profound than fire or electricity or any of the other bigger things we have worked on. It has tremendous positive sides to it, but it has real negative consequences. When you think about technologies like facial recognition, it can be used to benefit. It can be used to find missing people, but it can be used for mass surveillance. And as democratic countries with a shared set of values, we need to build on those values and make sure when we approach AI, we are doing it in a way that serves society. And that means making sure AI doesn't have bias, that we build and test it for safety. We make sure that there is human agency, that it's ultimately accountable to people.
Google parent Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai will be fired soon, or he will resign amid the Gemini debacle.
It seems that Google's ambitious quest for AI dominance might cost Pichai his job. And now, investors are calling for Sundar Pichai's resignation.
Sundar Pichai is in some hot water. In fact, notable investors think that it's only a matter of time until Sundar either gets fired or is forced to resign. But wait a minute, wasn't Sundar the golden child of Google, earning hundreds of millions per year, scaling the company from a successful internet company to a tech giant, and nearly quintupling the stock price? Well, yes, Sundar did do all of that, but
here on Gravitas, we have been warning you about the potential threat of AI as far as human jobs are concerned. This fear is not unfounded, even for the Google CEO Sundar Pichai. It seems that Google's ambitious quest for AI dominance might cost Pichai his job.
A lot of things will play out in more positive ways than people think. But the risks are important, and I think the way we solve it is we think ahead, we worry about it, we do things like be upfront, have ethical charters, think about AI safety from day one, be very transparent and open in how we pursue progress there, and figure out global frameworks by which we can engage.
Google Bard AI chatbot, developed by Google, has taught itself Bangla, a language it is not supposed to know. In recent months, Sundar Pichai, CEO of Alphabet, the parent company of Google, has participated in a number of interviews and podcasts, providing extensive insights about the organization's future AI aspirations. Pichai and a few other Google executives were featured in a CBS 60 Minutes TV segment. Pichai spends a lot of time in the interview talking about AI and its effects on society. According to Google tech executive James Maniaka, the company's artificial intelligence has reportedly picked up a language on its own without any instruction. Maniaka told CBS 60 Minutes that the company's AI can now translate all of Bangla with only a small amount of instruction in that language. Many Google experts are perplexed and confused by the development because it seems that the AI has picked up knowledge that it was not programmed to have. During the discussion, CEO Sundar Pichai also recognized that AI has a black box component that even specialists are unable to fully understand. You don't comprehend everything, and you're not really sure why it stated this, he added. The program explains how Google Bard started teaching itself abilities that were unexpected for the chatbot. One Google AI software, for instance, adjusted on its own after being prompted in the language of Bangladesh, which it had not been trained to understand, according to Pichai. Bengali is the language being discussed here, which is also extensively spoken in the Indian states of West Bengal and, to a lesser extent, Tripura and Assam, in addition to Bangladesh. James Maniaka, SVP, Google, continues in the video by saying that the algorithm has learned to translate all of Bangla after being fed just a few commands in the language. Margaret.
For the best price in town on your flooring, call Complete Flooring. The unique shop-at-home experience means samples are brought right to your door, and because we don't pay salesmen, there's no markup on our products. Complete Flooring does the installation of new hardwood floors and sands them using a dustless machine, making the sanding process cleaner. We also specialize in refinishing, staining, and custom staining of existing hardwood floors. Our Green Guard certified environmentally friendly finish is now available. Drying in a quarter of the time of regular stains means you can get back in your house sooner, and it will last longer. If you're a homeowner, general contractor, or a building or property manager, Complete Flooring services are available to you. So give us a call today.
Imagine that the power grid was totally wiped by an EMP weapon of an enemy state. Your stress level will go to the roof, your patience will be tried, you will have to think about both your own and your complaining children's survival. If you don't survive, your children won't when they are left on their own. Teach your children how to have the mentality of being survivors through a fun, children-friendly guided outdoor adventures with basic survivor mindfulness integrated in the fun outing activity. Call my friends Nell and Victoria who are experienced survivors. Call them at 905-252-8009 or email them at northernpacificcottages@gmail.com. Consider supporting the OJTV production costs and be an insider member for only $3 a month. Go to patreon.com/OJTV Canada. Thank you for your continued support.
from a point of view of developers and computer science, many experts agree in the thought that AI will never achieve sentience. It will achieve sentient-like features. It feels like, it looks like, it sounds like sentient. It feels like you are interacting with a human being because of the super fast ability of the computer to choose the right response, the appropriate response, the human-like response, preset responses when they interact with humans. So high-level computer scientists, many of them are in agreement, not all of them, but many of them are in agreement that AI can never achieve sentience. It can only achieve sentient-like characteristics, sentient-like features, but not actual sentience.
It was Arthur C. Clarke who said that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. As our society relies more and more on technology, we're reaching a position where, ironically, we understand less and less of what's going on. We're resigning ourselves to live in a black box world, surrounded by technology we simply don't understand. Gone are the days when you could fiddle around with an object like a carburetor and figure out more or less what each part did. My smartphone is inscrutable, and a look inside of it tells me very little about how it operates. Artificial intelligence is like the smartphone in this respect, but even more so. The suggestions and conclusions that artificial intelligence creates sometimes are not even decipherable by the people who created the AI. This is a whole new world, and artificial intelligence looks like a whole new kind of magic.
Since 2001, I've been working on what we would now call the problem of aligning artificial general intelligence. How to shape the preferences and behavior of a powerful artificial mind such that it does not kill everyone. I more or less founded the field 2 decades ago when nobody else considered it rewarding enough to work on. I tried to get this very important project started early so we'd be in less of a drastic rush later. I consider myself to have failed. Nobody understands how modern AI systems do what they do. They are giant inscrutable matrices of floating point numbers that we nudge in the direction of better performance until they inexplicably start working. At some point, the companies rushing headlong to scale AI will cough out something that's smarter than humanity. Nobody knows how to calculate when that will happen. My wild guess is that it'll happen after 0 to 2 more breakthroughs the size of transformers. What happens if we build something smarter than us that we understand that poorly? Some people find it obvious that building something smarter than us that we don't understand might go badly. Others come in with a very wide range of hopeful thoughts about how it might possibly go well. Even if I had 20 minutes for this talk and months to prepare it, I would not be able to refute all the ways people find to imagine that things might go well. But I will say that there is no standard scientific consensus for how things will go well. There is no hope that has been widely persuasive and stood up to skeptical examination. There is nothing resembling a real engineering plan for us surviving that I could critique. This is not a good place in which to find ourselves. If I had more time, I'd try to tell you about the predictable reasons why the current paradigm will not work to build a superintelligence that likes you or is friends with you, or that just follows orders. Why, if you press thumbs up when humans think that things went right, or thumbs down when another AI system thinks that they went wrong, you do not get a mind that wants nice things in a way that generalizes well outside the training distribution to where the AI is smarter than the trainers. You can search for Yudkowsky list of lethalities for more. But to worry, you do not need to believe me about exact predictions of exact disasters. You just need to expect that things are not going to work great on the first really serious, really critical try, because an AI system smart enough to be truly dangerous was meaningfully different from AI systems stupider than that. My prediction is that this ends up with us facing down something smarter than us that does not want what we want, that does not want anything we recognize as valuable or meaningful. I cannot predict exactly how a conflict between humanity and a smarter AI would go, for the same reason I can't predict exactly how you would lose a chess game to one of the current top AI chess programs, let's say Stockfish. If I could predict exactly where Stockfish could move, I could play chess that well myself. I can't predict exactly how you'll lose to Stockfish, but I can predict who wins the game. I do not expect something actually smart to attack us with marching robot armies with glowing red eyes, where there could be a fun movie about us fighting them. I expect an actually smarter and uncaring entity will figure out strategies and technologies that can kill us quickly and reliably, and then kill us. I am not saying that the problem of aligning superintelligence is unsolvable in principle. I expect we could figure it out with unlimited time and unlimited retries, which the usual process of science assumes that we have. The problem here is the part where we don't get to say, haha, whoops, that sure didn't work. That clever idea that used to work on earlier systems sure broke down when the AI got smarter than us. We do not get to learn from our mistakes and try again because everyone is already dead.